32 years old and I wanted to share my own experience with burnout, both personally and professionally. And the surprising thing for me was that my personal burnout actually ended up turning into a positive thing for me, whereas my professional burnout is still a bit of a question mark, and I'm currently in the process of trying to change my job career burnout into something more positive and more of a silver lining. So watch this video if you're someone else who is also experiencing burnout in your 30s, or if you are someone who wants to learn from my experience, avoid burnout, and just generally remain more energized and fulfilled with your day-to-day. So before going into the video and sharing my own experience with personal and professional burnout, I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page of what burnout is. So burnout is physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion that is often caused by long periods of stress where that stress wasn't handled or managed correctly. And so now going into my professional burnout story, I have now been working for over 10 years, which is wild that it's been that long, but I wanted to share how I went from earlier in my career being so excited about the workplace and really energized and wanting to be my own boss, a CEO, and to now really taking a step back and thinking about, okay, how do I balance my personal and professional life? And so, like I said, when I was younger, I was part of that millennial crew who was just really excited to be a boss or to start their own company, and was, you know, thinking up of all of these different projects that I could do and small business ideas. And at first it was really exciting to have a full-time job, and the experience was just so new to me that I got a lot of joy and energy from just learning all of these different new things that I was going through, and also just meeting a ton of different people. But then, obviously, as the years went on, there was a lot of invisible work or subconscious work that I didn't realize was weighing on me. And that's how I really think burnout happens, is that it's a lot of incremental and subtle stress that builds up over time versus being, you know, this one period where it is really dense. It can be that way, but for me personally, it was more of a slow buildup or gradual buildup over the years. And the invisible work that I'm talking about is things like just the stress of asking yourself questions constantly, like, how am I doing at my job? What is my performance rating gonna be? Does my manager like me? Do my coworkers like me? Do my cross-functional coworkers like me? So people on other teams. Am I excelling fast enough? Am I gonna get promoted? How much money am I making in comparison to my coworkers? Did they get a higher bonus than me? So you're just, or at least I was constantly seeing, you know, how could I accelerate, get promoted, work my way up the corporate ladder as efficiently as possible, while obviously still doing really, really great work. And that is tough. Like, it's just a lot of energy and time and headspace to put towards all of these external factors. So external factors and external validation. So my happiness and my fulfillment and energy was really placed in the hands of others because I was really looking outward constantly. And so the way I'm choosing to solve this is actually shifting that perspective from stopping myself from looking externally and looking more inwardly. And so I want to, one, focus more on the work, less on those external factors. So focus more on what I'm doing rather than, is this gonna get me promoted? Is this gonna be visible enough for my manager? Is this gonna, like, you know, make so-and-so like me? And then as a tangential version of that, I'm also thinking about, okay, how can I get more of my own purpose and passion connected to the work that I currently do? Because earlier in my career, I felt like my passion or purpose was really more just about generally learning, since everything was so new and exciting. And also I got a lot of purpose from just meeting new people constantly. But now that I'm in a place where I am more senior in my career and just know more of the people that I work with, and I've worked with them for quite a long time, I am thinking about and proactively thinking about projects that I can pitch that connect my own interests and what I care about to the business goals. And so I think it's really helpful if you're someone who is going through this to ask yourself, okay, what am I currently interested in, or what do I naturally want to spend my time doing or thinking about? And is there a way to connect that to my day-to-day job so that you are getting a bit more energy from the work in a positive way versus it draining you constantly? And then a second piece that I think is really important in terms of avoiding or moving away from burnout is really prioritizing the things you care about and the people you care about. And so for me, that's being really clear about setting a boundary between when the workday ends and when I have my own free time. And so I try to often, as much as possible, schedule things that I know energize me and bring me joy. So after work, can I organize a girls' night, or can I go see a show? Can I go to a workout class? Can I go to a happy hour? What are the ways you can spend your time doing more fun things so that you have more of a balance between the day of working and then at night doing more than just going home, binge watching a show, going to sleep, and like repeating that day in, day out? And I will say, as someone who loves movies and TV, I think it's a great thing if also you find energy by watching a new film or watching a new show, but making sure you're still making time to see people outside of your coworkers so you can have that community. So now let's talk about my personal experience with burnout. And when I say personal, I more mean how I experience burnout in my personal life, because that's different than your career or your job. So in my 20s, and for a good chunk of it, I feel like that decade or that period is really focused on figuring out who you are, experimenting with things, meeting new people, going through transitions like getting a new job, moving to a new city, making new friends. And so because there's a lot of change, I feel like I was going through a lot emotionally, where I really had a period where I was just focused on people pleasing and caring about what others thought of me. And so I would compromise on my own values or compromise on being a more authentic version of myself by trying to get people to like me, or really caring about my perception and how others thought of me. And my breaking point happened, I think what happened when I turned 30, where I realized that it's really just not sustainable to constantly be wearing a mask and to try to please other people. And when you put others before yourself, you're always gonna be at a loss. And again, for me, it wasn't this like obvious, like I was being this fake person. I was definitely being myself in many ways, but when you're gradually not showing sides of yourself or acting differently, it can weigh on you. And so when I turned 30, I was like, I'm done with this. It's not sustainable. It's so much more fulfilling to live a life that is true to who I am, and to lean into the hobbies, the people, the life that feels way more authentic to me, to Chanel. And so I highly recommend, if you're someone who's going through it, I feel you, but how can you connect more to your most authentic self and ask yourself, okay, where do I feel like I'm hiding myself, I'm acting differently, or I'm not being true to what I actually want to do? All right, that is it for me. I hope that was helpful. Please comment below with what you're experiencing or what you're going through. I would love to hear your stories. And please subscribe if you are someone who is in your 30s, even your late 20s, and you want to figure out life with me. I talk about all things related to being in your 30s and life in your 30s, being single, dating, relationships, family, friendships, and growth topics like purpose and fulfillment. So please subscribe, would really appreciate it, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Thank you.